What is going on, guys? XP Doomer here, and welcome back to another Doom Builder tutorial where I'll be showing you how to create an easy random item generator. So the concept of this, when the player hits a switch, it will spawn a random item such as ammo, health, or a power up, and this might be something you could have scattered around your map or in like a secret area. As you can see, I've already built the base of the map. I've added our player start, and here is our random item generator. So I'll go into visual mode and just show you this. So the idea is that when the player walks up to that switch, they'll press it and the item will spawn in the blue area there. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first thing we want to do is add a thing called a map spot into our map. Now this will determine physically where the random item's gonna spawn. So we're gonna add it on top of our switch box. So we're gonna right click and we're gonna scroll down to a folder called ZDoom, and then we want the map spot thing here. I'm also going to go into the action tab and give it a new tag of 1 and click OK. So there's our map spot nicely on top of our switch box, and the rest of this is going to be ACS scripting. So let's open up our script editor. As you can see, I've already included, I include zcommon.acs in double quotes, that's all good. And I'm just going to start by writing out the name of our script. So we're going to do script, and in brackets we'll call this random item generator, double quotes, and we want to also put our void at the end. And there's our script block. We're going to go ahead and compile this just to make sure there's no errors. That's good. So what we're going to be working with here? Well, there's two variables we're going to be working with. One is going to be so we need to generate a random number. Now in this case, we're going to generate a random number between 1 to 5. So it's going to be 5 items in total. That will be in, let's say, the item list for the generator. And we're also going to want to confirm a spawn number as well, which will come in handy later on when it comes to spawning the randomly generated item. So first thing we're going to do then is going to declare a variable called x. Now the good thing about ACS is that it's very easy to just spawn a random number. So how we're going to do that is we're going to go x equals, and I'm going to type in random and then open bracket, and as you can see it gives us a little hint here, min, max. So we're going to start with a minimum number, which is going to be 1, and I'm going to do a comma, and as mentioned, there's going to be 5 items in total in this tutorial, but you could have as many items as you wanted. But for the sake of this, we're going to do 5. So it will spawn, x will spawn a number between 1 and 5. So it could be 2, it could be 3, it could be 5, it could be 1, etc. So that's great. We're going to add our semicolon on the end of that. And the second variable I mentioned was the spawn number. So we're going to write int spawn no, and we don't need to assign that a value for now, so we'll just go over semicolon. So moving on, how are we going to write this? Well, I've got a wiki article up here, and it's called we're going to use what's called a switch case statement. Now the text up here explains very well what it is. So let's say you want to script the checks for multiple possible results. You could do a lot of if-else's, but that's too messy and too easy to mess up. We have a different command we can use. This would be the switch block, and it actually gives us a pretty nice example here of how exactly it works. But I'm going to be showing you how it works, say in this tutorial. So with that in mind, and how we start off a switch block is quite simply we write switch switch, and its parameter is going to be our random number, so that will be our x value. So we're going to write in x in there, and open another brace, close brace. So this will be our start of our switch block. So how switch case works really is that we'd write multiple different outcomes for what a variable could be assigned. So and that's done in the form of cases. So I'll just show you a quick example here. So what would be our first item we want to spawn? So let's write case 1 colon. So let's say if x was 1, then it will run the code that we define under case 1. So we want to include now our spawn number variable. Now this is where we're going to assign different possible values to spawn no. So we're going to do spawn no equals, but then what are we assigning it to? So I've got a second tab open here with Doom spawn numbers. Now essentially every actor in Doom has what's called a spawn number, which is just a integer. So for example, the shotgun guy enemy, which his name is T_shot guy, has a spawn number of 1. Imp, T_imp has a spawn number of 5. So this is basically just listing all the different actor names with their associated spawn numbers. What we want to do in this tutorial is we don't want to spawn enemies, we want to spawn items. So let's choose our first item. So let's say we want to do health bonus. Okay, health bonus is 152. So let's go back into our script, and we're going to say in case 1, spawn number is going to be 152 semicolon. I'm going to press enter. Now we want to, at the end of every case, we want to include the break keyword, now with a semicolon on the end. Now this means that it will, once it's chosen a case, i.e. once the random number's been determined, it will break out of the switch block and then move on to the next line of code. So we want to make sure we're including breaks on it at the end of each of our cases. So now we're going to really pretty much rinse and repeat this process, except we're going to use a different spawn number, because we don't want to just be spawning health bonuses. So let's write case 2 colon, and then we're going to have spawn no equals. Now let's go back to our tab. Let's go back to our tab and choose the next item. I think we'll have the ammo box, which is just ammo for the machine gun and pistol, and that is 139. So go back into our map and script, and then go spawn number equals 139. Now just to reiterate, so let's say our random number was 2, it would run case 2, and our spawn number will be assigned the value of 139. Let's not forget to include our break keyword at the end there. Next, case 3, spawn no. Now it's time to choose another item. So let's include something a bit better than the ammo box. Let's say backpack. Yeah, backpack, which is 144. So go back into our map and script, assign spawn number, a value of 144, and we'll include break there. Case number 4, spawn no equals, well, let's choose our 4th item. Let's do the computer map, T_computer map, 137. 137. Break. Finally, our last case, now case number 5, because we're generating a number between 1 and 5. So obviously, if you were to have 1 to generate a number between 1 and 8, and you had 8 different items that could spawn, then you would write 8 cases. But we're only writing 5 for this tutorial. Spawn no equals. Now let's do something more interesting for the final one. Let's go ahead and do the megasphere 132. And break. So that's the end of our switch block, and just to reiterate, so random number is assigned to X. We're using X as the condition or parameter of the switch, and let's say X, this ran and X had a number of 4, then it will go down to our case 4 and then assign spawn number 137, which will be our computer power up. And say if it spawned on 2, then it would go to case 2 and spawn 139, which would be our ammo box, etc. I hope that all makes sense. So all that's left to do is spawn our item. So the function we're going to use for this is going to be thing underscore spawn. I'm going to use an open bracket. So we've got some arguments here. The first argument, the thing ID, is going to be our map spot ID, which was set to 1. And our type is going to be our spawn number. Now you could just manually put in a spawn number from one of the ones we saw on the list on the wiki, and it would just spawn that item. But because we've got a random generator, we've got a variable with spawn no, we need to include what that randomly generated number is in our thing spawn. So we're going to just write spawn no, which will be the value of our randomly generated number. Going to do a comma. Angle doesn't really matter for items, so we're just going to do 0. So if you were spawning a monster, then you might want to put in the angle it's going to be facing when it spawns, but we don't need to do that for items. And another comma for new thing ID, which when you spawn things in maps, you might want to define them a thing ID for later usage. We're not going to be doing that here, but we'll just put 999 just for the sake of it, and then go semicolon. So this is all pretty much done. So just to recap here, we've got a script, random item generator, declaring X, a random number between 1 and 5, and declaring a spawn number variable which is not assigned yet. The random number will be determined, and it will run a case here. So if the number was 4, it would assign spawn number 137, and then it will break out of this, and then it will run our thing spawn 1, which is our map spot tag, spawn number, which would be the 137, 0 for the angle, and new thing ID 999. Let's go ahead and compile this. We got no errors. Great. So now one last thing we need to do before we forget is we need to assign the switch our action. So we're gonna just right click and then go into properties, and we're gonna do our action, which would be 80 for script execute. We're gonna tick on name scripts because we gave our script a name, random item generator. I'm also going to make this a repeatable action just for the sake of showing you the items that are going to spawn, because I guess normally you probably wouldn't want to have a player be able to spawn multiple different items, because they can just have infinite amount of items. But I'm going to put this on for now just to show you, just for demonstration purposes. So, oh yeah, and when the player presses use as well, we want to include that, otherwise our switch won't do anything. Click OK, and now let's run this and see what happens. So here we are in game. Here's our switch box. We're going to go up to it, and as you can see, we got a health bonus. That's nice. Press it again, and we got a megasphere. Then we got a computer station and an ammo box. No duplicate items. And there's our backpack. And you could just keep pressing this. As you can see, we've got a lot of different items there. And we just grab them all. As I said, you won't want this to be a repeatable action because you're going to essentially give the player like infinite amount of items. One thing I want to show you before we end though is you might not want to have any spawn fog when a random item appears, so we'll need to use a slightly different variant of thing spawn to accomplish that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to comment out this thing spawn for a sec. And if you don't want the item to have any, say, spawn fog, you just do thing underscore spawn and no fog. And essentially just the same arguments as we had before. Thing spawn no fog 1 spawn number 0999. Compile that, minimize our script, go back into game again, and hit our switch and see, as you can see there, it just doesn't show any spawn fog, just literally straight up gives us the item, the random item that we want or don't want in this case. And I'll just show you what that is like without the repeatable action on. So we'll go OK, run this again, and what item am I going to get? Health bonus. Lovely. So yeah, that pretty much wraps up this tutorial, guys. So I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you got something out of it with the switch case block. And as usual, yeah, leave any comments, any questions, any requests, and I'll see you next time. Have a good day.